I've lived in Savannah, Georgia my whole life. My grandfather built our house on Madison Square back in the 1890s, and it's been in our family ever since. I take pride in maintaining its historic charm. The ironwork, the wood floors, the tall windows that catch the afternoon light. Living in Savannah's historic district means you get used to film crews. They come here because our city is perfect for period pieces. Wide streets, parks, homes that haven't changed much in a century. Usually, it's a good arrangement. The production companies pay us homeowners a fee for the trouble, we follow their rules about keeping modern items out of sight, and everyone goes home happy. That changed in the spring of 1979. I was in my garden when a city official knocked on my door. He handed me a letter and told me he was delivering a notice about a film production in the neighborhood. I skimmed the document while standing on my porch. It detailed how a major television network would be filming a movie about the aftermath of Lincoln's assassination. They'd be shooting in our area for several weeks. What caught my attention was the missing mention of the usual compensation. I asked the official about the missing information regarding payment to homeowners. He explained that the production company wouldn't be providing compensation this time. He added that the city felt it was our civic duty to allow them to use our property as a backdrop. I protested, calling the situation ridiculous and pointing out that every other production had paid. I reminded him that this was my home, not a public park. The official shrugged and walked away, leaving me on my porch. I called several of my neighbors who had received the same notice. We agreed to approach the city council together. At the meeting, we were told to grin and bear it. The mayor cited the prestige and economic benefits the production would bring to Savannah. Most of my neighbors accepted this decision, but I wasn't having it. The first day of filming arrived. I parked my Cadillac in my driveway, knowing it would ruin their 19th century aesthetic. Within an hour, a production assistant was at my door. The assistant told me I needed to move my vehicle because they were about to begin shooting. I said this was my property and I would park where I pleased. The assistant tried reasoning with me, asking me to be reasonable because they had a schedule to keep. I said I was being reasonable and told them if they wanted to use my home, they should pay me the standard fee like everyone else does. They called the police, who sided with the production company. My car was towed at my expense. I was mad. The next day I talked to a lawyer who told me that the city had given the production company certain rights. I could file a lawsuit, but it would be costly and time-consuming. I needed another approach. For the next week, I watched their filming schedule. I noticed they were focused on capturing the row of homes facing the square, including mine. They'd invested lots of time and money in these shots. The perfect opportunity came when they scheduled a major scene directly across from my house. The night before, I went up to my attic and found something my grandfather had brought back from World War II. A large Nazi flag he'd taken as a trophy. He'd never displayed it, just kept it as a historical artifact. When the film crew set up their equipment the next morning, I waited until I heard the director call, "Action!" Then I opened my second-floor window and hung out the massive red flag with its black swastika. The reaction was immediate. The director yelled for everyone to cut the scene. The crew turned to stare at my house. The director walked toward my property. He told me to take the flag down, saying I was ruining their shoot. I told him about my First Amendment rights, saying I could display whatever I wanted on my own property. The director asked if I had any idea how much money I was costing them. He said they might have to scrap days of footage if that flag was visible in previous shots. I said it sounded like an expensive problem and suggested they should have considered paying homeowners like every other production does. The director walked off to make phone calls. Within hours, the production manager, city officials, and even the mayor were at my doorstep. The production manager said they could sue me for sabotaging their production. I said I was exercising my constitutional rights on my private property and that my lawyer would love to debate this in court. The mayor asked me to be reasonable, saying this film was important for our city's reputation and economy. I pointed out how my civic duty suddenly mattered so much, yet the city didn't think twice about letting this company use our homes for free. Finally, after hours of back and forth, they gave in. The production manager presented me with a contract guaranteeing payment not just for me, but for all homeowners whose properties appeared in the film. Only after my lawyer reviewed and approved the document did I take down the flag. The crew finished filming quickly after that, eager to leave our neighborhood. Months later, when the movie aired on television, I invited my neighbors over for a viewing party. We laughed as we spotted what looked like a tiny red blotch in the background of several scenes. They hadn't caught all the footage with my flag. Word spread about my stand against the production company. Other homeowners in historic districts across the South contacted me for advice when similar situations arose. The story became a local legend. What most people don't know is that I never spent the money they paid me. I donated it to the Savannah Historic Foundation. It wasn't about the money, it was about respect. My home isn't just a backdrop for someone else's vision. It's where I live. It's my history. And sometimes you have to raise a flag to make people see that. Last spring, I finished my minor hockey career, which meant I had to enter men's league hockey. I played organized hockey since I was 5, working up through the ranks until I reached the highest level in my area. Once you age out of minor hockey, you have to find somewhere to play on your own. In November, I joined a local hockey Facebook group to find a place to play. That evening, I saw a post from someone looking for players for a casual game at a local arena, 10 p.m. on Sunday night. It seemed good, late enough to finish my weekend homework for college and still get to the rink with plenty of time. I commented on the post and the guy messaged me saying there was a spot available. He told me the cost was $20, which seemed fair for ice time. I was in. Sunday night, I got to the rink 30 minutes early. The organizer met me in the lobby and told me I was on the white team and to go to locker room 3. I went to the locker room and found several guys getting dressed, all wearing different jerseys. Nobody knew each other, just random hockey players looking for ice time. We talked as we got ready. One teammate asked if it was my first time playing here. I told him I just found the post on Facebook. Another guy said he was the same and had been looking for a casual game for weeks. When we went to the ice for warm-ups, I noticed something off. Our team had mismatched jerseys, but the opposing team wore matching custom orange jerseys with orange socks. They knew each other well. Their warm-up was coordinated, while our side was chaotic. The puck dropped and it was clear this wasn't the casual game that was advertised. The orange team had set plays, made good passes, and skated around us. They played like it was a playoff game. I handled myself okay since I played at a high level, but my teammates were struggling. The orange team played dirty. With no referee, they slashed wrists, tripped guys, and threw body checks. One orange player taunted my older teammate asking if he couldn't keep up. When my teammate said he thought this was no contact, the orange player said nobody told them that, and it wasn't their fault if we couldn't handle real hockey. As the game went on, the orange team got bored just outscoring us. They started targeting teammates with dangerous plays, hip checks along the boards, sticks to the back of legs, and blindside hits. Our team went from frustrated to concerned about safety. Another teammate said this was ridiculous and that he paid to play hockey, not to get hurt. By the second period, several teammates left after nasty hits, some limping, others just disgusted. The game ended early because we didn't have enough players left. We all paid $20 to get run over and mocked. I stayed in the locker room and sat next to the orange team's captain. I acted impressed with their team and asked how long they'd played together because they seemed coordinated. The captain told me they were a beer league team that played games on Saturday nights. When I asked about Sunday night, he laughed and took a drink from his water bottle. He said these sessions were their practice. They rented ice every Sunday and got random players through Facebook who didn't know what they were getting into. When I said guys didn't seem happy tonight, he said they always get complaints about hitting, and many players don't come back. He added it was getting harder to find new players each week, but he still made a profit on the ice rental, so it was worth it. I did some math. 11 of us paid $20 each. That was $220. The ice time probably cost around $150 to $180. So this guy made money while his team bullied players who just wanted to enjoy hockey. I left feeling angry but determined. I could have told the Facebook group admin, but I wanted to hit them where it hurt, their ice time. The next weekend, I watched the Facebook group closely. Friday night, the captain posted the same ad for Sunday. Comments started appearing from new players. I sent private messages to everyone who commented. I warned them about the Sunday game, saying it wasn't casual but a beer league team that tricked players to rough them up. I told them they played dirty with no referee and guys got hurt last week. Each person thanked me for the warning and went back to cancel with various excuses. The captain's post got more desperate as Sunday came closer, with fewer responses. I did this the next weekend too. After a couple weeks, the captain stopped posting. I called the rink to see if they'd given up their ice time. I asked about open ice on Sunday nights at 10 p.m. The attendant told me a beer league team practiced then, and it was the only open ice in winter. Learn to skate was on weekend mornings, minor hockey in afternoons and evenings, junior games at night, beer league on late Saturday, and this team on Sunday night. Nobody else wanted that time. That gave me an idea. If Sunday at 10 p.m. was their only practice time, what if I took it? I learned the captain booked sessions on Friday nights. Thursday evening I called the rink. I told them I wanted to book ice for Sunday nights at 10 p.m. for the next month for an adult learn to skate program. I used a fake name and company. The attendant said the time was usually booked by a regular team but they hadn't confirmed yet, so it was available. I took the slot for 4 weeks. The attendant said I could pay when I arrived Sunday. Now I controlled their ice time, but I didn't want to pay, so every Sunday morning I'd call the rink. I would cancel the learn to skate session, saying we didn't have enough participants. The rink would make it an open skating session for the public. This was too late for the captain to book, but the rink wouldn't lose money because families would pay to skate. I did this for a month, blocking the team from their Sunday slot. Finally, I called the rink one last time. I said my learn to skate company failed, so I wouldn't need Sunday nights anymore. The whole thing lasted about 2 months, November to January. I never heard from the captain or his team again. He stopped posting in the Facebook group. A few weeks later, I heard the Sunday night 10 p.m. slot was taken by a real beginner adult league where men and women were learning hockey for the first time in a supportive setting. This is what that ice time should be for. I found a new place to play with good guys. We play Saturday nights from 10 p.m. to midnight at a different rink. We're all good players, but we're there to have fun. If you're learning to play because I stole ice time from an entitled beer league team, you're welcome. Hockey is for everyone, not just jerks who use random players as practice dummies. I was at a gas station pumping gas into my sedan on a Tuesday afternoon. The station wasn't particularly busy, just your typical place with 3 or 4 islands of pumps. The 2 outside islands had diesel fuel, which is pretty standard for these places. One of these outside islands was blocked off with orange traffic cones and yellow caution tape. 2 utility workers were up in their bucket trucks, working on the wiring for the overhead lights. Everything was done by the book. Proper barriers, clear markings, the whole safety setup. I was halfway through filling my tank when this massive pickup truck came roaring into the station. The driver circled around once, then twice, getting agitated behind the wheel when he realized he couldn't access the blocked-off diesel pump. Then something strange happened. Instead of going to the other available diesel island, this guy double-parked his truck right in the middle of the lot. He got out, walked straight to the caution tape, and ripped it down with his hands. The tape fell to the ground as everyone around stared. The utility workers noticed, but they were still up in their buckets, so they couldn't do anything right away. Meanwhile, this guy was trying to parallel park his massive truck between the 2 bucket trucks. The blocked pumps were completely inaccessible, and even if he could reach them, the fuel cap on his truck was on the opposite side. During his parking attempt, he hit one of the bucket trucks with a loud bang. The impact was hard enough to shake the whole truck. The utility worker up in the bucket yelled down asking what the guy thought he was doing. The workers started lowering their buckets. They looked furious. Once they got to the ground, they approached the truck driver. The second utility worker told the man that the area was closed for maintenance and asked him to move his vehicle. The truck guy responded by shouting that he needed diesel right away and complained that he'd been driving all morning. When the first utility worker pointed out that There was another diesel island just nearby. Things got worse. The truck guy's face turned red. He started pacing and pointing. The truck guy started screaming about how he was there first and that he always used this pump. He yelled that they couldn't tell him where to go. The workers looked at each other, confused by this outburst. I was confused too. What did he mean he was here first? The maintenance crew had been there for hours. By this point, the gas station attendant was on the phone behind the counter. I could see him gesturing toward the commotion while speaking. I assumed he was calling the police, which seemed right given how this guy was acting. The utility workers tried to reason with him for a few more minutes. The second worker explained that they were just doing their job and pointed out that the other diesel pump was only 50 feet away. He even offered that they'd be done in about an hour if the man wanted to come back later. The truck guy responded with more yelling, asking if they knew who he was and claiming he'd been coming to this station for 20 years. He refused to move his truck. About 10 minutes into this standoff, a police cruiser pulled into the lot with its lights flashing. Two officers stepped out and approached the scene. The first officer asked what the problem was. The utility workers started explaining the situation, but the truck guy interrupted them, shouting about how the workers were blocking his pump and that he needed fuel right away. The second officer tried to calm the man down, asking him to speak reasonably. That's when things got dangerous. The truck guy suddenly lunged at one of the utility workers, swinging wildly. The worker stepped back just in time to avoid getting hit. The officers moved to intervene, but as they approached, the truck guy reached into his pocket and pulled out a screwdriver, pointing it toward the second officer. The first officer told the man to drop the weapon and get on the ground. Instead, the truck guy tried to take a swing at the first officer. Within seconds, both officers had tackled him to the ground. There was a brief struggle, but they quickly had him restrained. One of the officers called for backup on his radio, requesting an ambulance and describing the situation. By this point, I had finished pumping my gas, but there was no way to leave. The police cruiser was blocking one exit, and the other was now filled with the truck guy's vehicle. Within minutes, 3 more police cars arrived, followed by an ambulance. The truck guy was still screaming as they placed him in handcuffs and leg restraints. They even had to put a mask over his face because he kept trying to spit at the officers. A local news van pulled up. A reporter and cameraman jumped out and started interviewing witnesses. I tried to stay hidden. I didn't want to be on the evening news. The paramedics checked the truck guy over before loading him into the ambulance. One of the officers climbed in with him, while the others stayed behind to take statements and arrange for the truck to be towed. After about 1 hour, things finally started clearing up. The police removed the truck guy's pickup, and I was finally able to leave. As I drove away, I wondered what had caused such an extreme reaction. Was it just entitlement, or was something else going on with him? Maybe drugs, maybe a mental health crisis. All I know is that wherever his truck ended up in the police impound, I bet he wishes he had just driven 50 feet to the other diesel pump. I ended up in a petty war over bathroom supplies during my senior year of college. I was paired with this guy in a suite-style dorm where we shared a bathroom but had separate bedrooms. From the beginning, I tried to be considerate. Whenever I noticed the toilet paper running low, I'd replace it without making a big deal. It's just common courtesy, right? I figured if I was nice about shared supplies, he'd return the favor. The first few weeks were fine, but then I started noticing something strange. I put a fresh roll of toilet paper in the bathroom, and within a day, it would be almost completely gone. At first, I thought maybe he had digestive issues. Not my business, whatever. But it kept happening. Every single time. I finally brought up the toilet paper issue with him. I mentioned how quickly it was disappearing after I put new rolls in and asked if everything was okay. He said sorry and promised he would start replacing it and contributing his own toilet paper too. I told him I just wanted to keep things fair between us. Did he follow through? Of course not. After about 2 weeks of continuing to supply toilet paper for what seemed like him and possibly his entire friend group, I decided to change tactics. I started bringing my roll with me to the bathroom and taking it back to my room afterward. This worked fine until I noticed another problem. My hand soap was disappearing way faster than it should have been. I didn't think much of it initially. Maybe I was washing my hands more often than I realized. But then came the moment that pushed me over the edge. One night I walked into the bathroom and spotted my hand soap bottle sitting on the floor of the shower. This wasn't a mistake. This dude had been using my hand soap as body wash. He didn't even try to hide it, couldn't even put it back by the sink. I stood there angry. We only had a few weeks left before graduation, and I really didn't want to deal with resident assistant mediation or awkward talks when I was trying to focus on finals and job hunting. So I made a decision. Everything that belonged to me was coming out of that bathroom. Soap? Gone. Toilet paper? Gone. My shower caddy with shampoo and conditioner? Definitely gone. I kept everything in my room and only brought supplies in when I needed to use them. When graduation approached, we were all required to clean our dorms, including shared spaces like bathrooms. I knew my sweet mate wouldn't help. He'd been a slob the entire year. Hair all over the sink, toothpaste globs hardened onto the counter, shower that hadn't been scrubbed once. A few days before move-out, I returned to the dorm to start cleaning and noticed his bedroom door was open. The room was completely empty. No bedding, no clothes, no personal items. He had moved out early, but he'd left all his bathroom stuff behind. A bathroom rug, shower curtains, a small trash can, and a shower mat. I spent hours scrubbing that bathroom until it was spotless. The toilet, the shower, the sink, everything was cleaner than when we moved in. When I finished, I looked at all his abandoned bathroom items. Initially, I thought maybe he was planning to come back for them later. Lots of students can't fit everything in one trip and come back for the rest. But then I remembered all those months of stolen toilet paper and soap, and I made a decision. I gathered up all his bathroom items, took them to the laundry room, and washed everything thoroughly. Then I packed them neatly into my car along with the rest of my belongings. Were they technically his? Yes. Did I feel bad? Not even a little bit. I moved into my new apartment the next day and set up my bathroom with my own supplies plus his shower curtain, which was actually nicer than the one I had planned to buy, bathroom rug, and shower mat. The trash can went into my kitchen. Sometimes I wonder if he came back to get his things only to find an empty bathroom. Did he report the items missing? Did he assume the cleaning staff had thrown them away? Or did he realize that his toilet paper stealing, soap borrowing ways had finally caught up with him? I'll never know. But every time I step out of the shower onto that mat or glance at that shower curtain, I feel a small sense of justice.